Merry Christmas, Renegade Nation. Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters, Miklos Huber, Telma, Kono Dioda, Austin Long, Ju Chin, The Bird's Nest, Medic, Sly Ridley, Jake Slum, Kiki Rocks, Yosef Stalin, Tyflo 33OW, Master of Beings, and Marble Hornet. Thank you all very much for your support, and if you want to support us on Patreon, click the link below in the description to find out more, and we'll see you there. Have a Happy New Year. All right, well, we're doing it again, ladies and gentlemen. We have VFX artists react to Bad and Great CGI at number 3. Now, a lot of people have been asking us to keep going with these. I plan on keeping going with these until the end of time. Don't know who is messaging me. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone. Don't ever text me again, motherfucker. Anyway, yeah, VFX artists react to Bad and Great CGI number 3 by Corridor Crew, the Corridor Crew, a.k.a. Corridor Digital, a.k.a. just Corridor. We actually are joined by Jacob, someone who actually hasn't been with us in Reacts for a little while. No, it's because you're busy. You're a busy man. You've got a lot going on, and
most of the time, yeah.
and
just been on the road a lot. I mean, I was gone over 20 days of this month.
Yeah, you were gone majority of the month.
Yeah, 22 days.
Yeah, you were gone majority of the month, dude. In which, honestly, I mean, I'm glad that you're working out there and you're doing what you love.
Oh, I'm happy with all the cool stuff I got to learn.
Oh yeah,
that's the stuff for me. It's
and honestly, he's out there doing good work, and he's also coming back here and hanging around us plebs a little bit. So just figured we'd drag him down here a little bit and record some videos with him. And we're doing a series that I actually wanted to get your take on and your opinion of, see what you think. VFX artists react to, and you said you've actually seen a little bit of these.
No, the guy on the right, I believe, has tutorials that I've seen before.
Yeah, Nico.
I go on these binges with After Effects and Premiere and stuff. So when I was learning Premiere, I found the fastest way to learn was just do every tutorial you could possibly find, and just find a tutorial you're like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I want to do that, and then like when you spend all day doing that, hours and hours. I mean, I would say like the time it takes to learn After Effects and learn and really get all this stuff is about close to the time it takes to get into like Unreal Engine, because I mean it's basically an engine in itself that creates visual effects. Yes. Anything you can think of, it has tools for it, and if they don't, they got third parties that do. So and plus, it goes straight into Premiere. It's as simple as clicking on your shot, you right click, and you hit replace with After Effects composition. Opens up After Effects in your other window, and in real time, whatever you do over here affects this mark on the clip. So you don't have to export it and drag it back out or anything.
That's actually really cool.
That and Adobe Audition all works together with it too. I mean, this is why we still use Adobe Audition, or I'm sorry, Adobe Suite, even though I know a lot of people are moving over to what's that free one that everybody's going to? They mostly use it for color correction, but
DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, that's it, DaVinci Resolve. But
yeah, a lot of people.
I still haven't got to mess with it too much though. But I like my Adobe stuff.
And that's
when it works, it's very buggy though.
Oh no, that's fair. I mean, honestly, the DaVinci Resolve, I've messed with it, and in terms of color changing and color management, it's an amazing program. But Adobe does the exact same thing. It's just you have to know what to do in Adobe. Yeah. In which you know what to do. So
yeah, I mean, I just got the Lumetri tab on my side, so anytime all I have to do is go over and change the color to whatever one I'm on.
Yeah,
But I usually do all my color correction dead last. That's typically one of the last things I do. And I frame up my shots first and cut it, frame up the shots. And once you frame it in, I realign it. Then I start adding the music in there, add the music with the score, and then I'll adjust from there because sometimes the music needs to go with the pacing of the cut, and sometimes it doesn't. So it just depends on the type of shots. And then once you get all that done, then you can dig deep into your audio, which takes forever. And then sometimes you notice the audio will change your cut sometimes of how you want it to cut, how you want that effect to last into the next shot.
Yeah.
And then once you finally get all the audio, the music, the cut is finalized, and then pretty much you can do color correction and then titles. that whole
that's
sequence.
it.
Yeah.
There you
this, what they're going to be doing is mostly used After Effects and 3ds Max or Maya, or sometimes Blender, depending on what kind of 3D modeling tools you use.
Yeah.
Then they use different programs to animate them, which After Effects uses a lot. And then there's Adobe Animator. But I don't know near as much about this stuff as I'd want to, though.
Well, these guys are like experts at
they're-
this field. Nico, Nico's sort of the figurehead of this whole thing, and Ren and Jacob, they're just like nutcases when it comes to like how to craft everything together and put all this and make it work, because it takes a lot of time. But we're gonna get this up on screen now, and we're going to see what all the hullabaloo's about with the VFX artists reacting to more bad and great CGI. This is part 3. Here we go.
I just realized that.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Oh,
Oh, that's
that was
terrible.
Twilight,
Welcome back
whichever
to
one.
our
Yeah, that was Breaking Dawn.
Breaking Dawn,
You
yeah.
guys have probably
I think
seen
that
those
was
videos
the
where like
part
professionals
2,
react
I
to
think.
videos pertaining to their career. And we want to do the same thing because visual effects are super cool and sometimes they're really bad. The Matrix is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Matrix.
I can quote this entire movie.
Help!
So The Matrix honestly is what inspired me to start getting into visual effects because they had a pretty small effects team, all things considered, and it was just a really genius application of technology that made it good. All right, this shot right here.
Such a
What
revolutionary
a shot.
shot.
I love that shot. It makes my heart flutter. And The Matrix is one of the first films to kind of pull off one of these shots where the camera is just this virtual object that can move anywhere it wants at any speed. Hey, you guys want to hear something that might blow your mind, and you too? This background is 100% CG.
So you're saying the only thing that's real in that entire shot is the Keanu?
The Keanu Reeves is the only real thing in that entire shot. So the way they did this shot, instead of taking one camera and moving it through a circle, just put a camera at each position where there'd be a frame, and just hit a button and they all take a picture at once, or at least slightly offset from each other in this case.
Look at that. Look at the spacing of those cameras. They knew the speed at which they wanted to have the camera flying around certain moments, and they built that into the spacing of the cameras. I just realized that. I always assumed that they were
What it is, they all record at
There's
the
more
same time.
frames
They
here
all
in
got
this
time
than there are
code.
cameras.
Yeah.
What they actually need to
So
do
they go off
is
a time
basically
code
little
to set the
mini
times
moments
with
to
the
get
frames that they
in
want.
between the
Because
cameras.
everybody thinks that it's
So
just
basically,
it
if a
takes a
low
bunch
frame
of
rate
pictures
version,
and
you
they're
go
all
through and you do
delayed
frame
up.
manipulation.
That's not
No,
the case.
that's not how that
It's
works.
moving from frame to frame to fill in
That
those
would be a
in-betweens.
nightmare.
I mean, you can actually see those artifacts in his cape, his jacket.
Oh, yeah.
If you really look at like the folds and whatnot, they do kind of like morph
Oh,
between
yeah.
each other on certain frames.
Now here's the thing. So they built a big green screen room. There's all these little holes, where the cameras are pointed through. They filmed Keanu Reeves on a green screen. What happens when you're doing a 360 rig and you're on one side of the rig looking at the other side of the rig? You see all the cameras. So they had to recreate the background in CG. Now this is a problem in 1999
It's not
because
hard.
you don't have the capabilities to make photorealistic
Maybe
CG, and yet here we are with a photorealistic background.
So why is it photoreal, Nico?
So the trick that they came up with was, hey, let's just go to our actual set. We'll literally just take pictures of it as is, with all the lighting already baked in, the shadows already there, and we'll just use that as a texture, and that's it. Most people don't notice this, but when Trinity does her kick, the background is 100% CG, and when Agent Smith and Neo jump at each other and they're holding the guns in the subway, the background is also 100% CG in those shots. If you want to remake this shot yourself, all you have to do is get a bunch of cameras, they wouldn't have to be expensive ones, some green screen poster board, and an actor who flops, and there you go. It takes some work, but it's by all means something that's doable. One person could recreate this effect shot these days.
Yes.
I wouldn't try that though.
Ooh, that is wonky looking.
He looks like he has like cotton stuff underneath his lips. He's like, hey, I'm Superman. So, okay, what actually happened here is they filmed the Justice League. Henry Cavill or Henry Cavill? Henry filmed Superman, and then he goes on to film Mission Impossible, where he has this really cool-looking mustache, right? But during the filming of that movie, they had to do reshoots for Superman. They wouldn't let him shave his mustache.
He's contractually obligated to have a mustache. Can you imagine just signing a contract that says you have to have a mustache?
At the end of the day, this is just like movie studios just like flexing at each other, being like, oh no, we have a contract saying he can't shave his mustache, so what are you gonna do? And they're like, I guess we'll CG it. They had to straight up recreate his entire mouth, match it as best they could, and then just composite the render over his mustache. But then you have to blend it further in, so you end up having to use more fake face than the real face to make it all work together, and then you end up with basically a mostly fake mouth. The hardest thing to recreate about the face is the lips.
It looks pretty good. Bad. It's not that bad.
This scene is actually pretty solid.
Oh, this one. I've seen this one. The corners of his mouth don't like fold in on each other correctly. Yeah, that looks weird.
It's too smooth.
It's way too smooth, and it stretches weird.
Do you think they took his mustache and like combed it up, and then combed it down, and just like got a straight, like they just crunched it together as much as possible, just goes straight out? Yeah.
So this is another example of where someone did a deep fake over the top of this, and it looks better.
Deepfakes are pretty interesting technology. The next video coming out on this channel is us experimenting with deepfakes. If you'd like to check that out, consider subscribing. That looks great.
Nah, I'm seeing some blurry.
I can see why they had issues with the corners of the mouth, because the mustache overlaps the corners of the mouth. And that's really tricky, because you're dealing with two folds of muscle and skin coming together.
It just looks like the guy on the left just got out of a dental exam.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got no cane.
He's got his wisdom teeth taken out.
Is this real life? Oh man, okay, one of my favorite movies, Pacific Rim, had probably the coolest
first one
aesthetic of any movie I've ever seen. Sweet. Guillermo del Toro's use of color. I can literally talk about Pacific Rim for days. Every shot was filmed in a way as if it was actually achieved in real life. All the camera moves are as if they're on a dolly or a helicopter or someone's holding it looking up at the robots. There are no like CG cameras flying all over the place, and that makes these giant, super unrealistic things seem more real.
They got a Hollywood simulator for Unreal Engine. You can replicate camera movements and stuff in the
through
engine.
the office building and then hitting Newton's
Like
cradle.
it's on a
That's a pretty good
tripod,
shot.
or
They
like it's
filmed
on
that for real
instead of just
on
making
a
an
miniature
imaginary
set.
camera.
Wait, that's not VFX?
You're right, it's not. They created an office building, like third scale maybe?
Whoa! Oh, that's why it looks so good.
Because it's real. The only thing they added in that was digital was the fist and like all the connecting stuff around the fist in the background. Now, it is worth noting that the cradle wouldn't actually react that way. This movie doesn't care about physics that much.
It's giant robots, dude. I mean, come on. Who gives a shit about physics at that
But okay,
point?
the reason why I wanted to bring up this movie is to compare it to the abysmal second movie.
Yes.
going there.
Uprising.
I never saw it.
You're not missing out, dude.
No.
It was just such a disappointment.
Tiny monsters. I don't want tiny monsters in my
Yeah,
Pacific
it's
Rim.
like this has like one of those ethereal cameras where it moves without any sort of relation to real space, which works for some movies. It obviously works for The Matrix, but this is an example where you don't want to do that because it just kind of reinforces the idea that the fake things you're seeing are actually fake.
Yeah, and I'm just watching an animated film.
Look at this camera move here. It's a digital camera move, and it's just like flying between each of the Jaegers as they're like powering up their weapons.
Speed ramps and everything?
Yeah, and it's like the robots look cool, I guess. In the second movie, I also noticed that the
just filmed like an
Jaegers
anime.
are faster than the Jaegers from the first movie, and that also serves as a disadvantage for making them look realistic. What made the Jaegers from the first movie look so good is the fact that they were so slow. They were just like, boom, boom. In the second movie, like, the bigger you get, the slower you move because you have all these obstacles in your way, like air and whatnot. You have to move really
Yeah,
slowly.
gravity.
It really accentuates the fact that they're huge.
Well, Mech
You want
Warrior is my
your miniatures to
favorite
look
mech
big,
game.
to shoot them in slow
It's the
motion.
most realistic.
Imagine you're standing
Which
on
one?
top of the
Mech
Empire
Warrior.
State Building.
Yeah.
Mech Warrior games.
10 seconds. to
Especially
shoot the Now imagine you
Mech
have
Warrior
a 10-foot
Online.
model of the Empire State Building.
That's a slow-paced, hard-ass game.
If you want it to look the same size, you would need to slow down time for that rock to take 10 seconds to hit the ground. And so that's the kind of math they do when filming miniatures. They change the frame rate to make you record slower, to make the physics move at the same speed as they would if it was a lot bigger. Do you guys want to see the best miniature explosions you've ever seen?
Salvation.
Yeah, you wouldn't think Terminator Salvation would have the best miniature explosion, but these are by far the best miniatures I've ever seen. Whoa. So they time the shock waves with other explosives so that things all fall apart at the exact time they should. Because obviously your miniature is not going to have enough force to blow things away with a shockwave. Watch this. There's an explosion for when it hits the ground. Boom! See that? That timing is nuts.
You don't think it's just like a master behind his like board and it's just like bah, brrrah. In True Lies, I was like, how did they blow up this massive bridge and how did this car just plummet into the ocean? And it was with miniatures.
It's fucking awesome.
That's
I'd love to have the budget to do that shit.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
yes, yes. And then it hits that air, and then the truck freaking lands it on the other side of the bridge. Yeah!
Man.
Good. It's a affirmative.
That's right, I forgot about the Pelican.
Dude, James Cameron with the goofs, man.
James Cameron does do some funny
really
shit
enjoy. It's time to
sometimes.
look at something that no one enjoys.
Whoa, whoa.
Kill me! Kill me! Kill me!
Texture on the baby's face.
What? It has to Get it off me. Why? It's too mature for his age.
So far, like, all the shots looking down at the baby aren't that bad, but past when we first see the baby, oh my gosh, that was hardcore in Canny Valley. Wait, go back to that shot. Go back to that shot.
That floating head.
I can't.
Also,
This
there's way
shit.
too much fake
Right
lighting
there.
in the baby.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
that.
It's like the baby's clearly lit like from a different direction, and they're adding fake shadow and glamour lighting.
Why in the fuck did they not just use a real baby?
Wait, you're saying that baby's not actually there? That's completely...
That's a CG baby.
They've got-
Really good.
It's really good.
That's a CG. Damn.
Children of Men. I remember when that movie came out in 2006, I think. Twilight Breaking Dawn came out 6-7 years later, and the CG baby's that bad.
So who the fuck had the idea to CG that baby like that?
Yeah. To me, like if you're gonna
Bill
get
Condon,
if you're gonna get
the
that
director.
close up on a baby, like there's no damn way I would CG that. I mean, I understand how baby it is about the most impossible fucking shit because babies, just like animals,
what they
never
want.
act the way you want them to. They'll
And yet
cry.
they
they'll-
have them in so many
Yeah.
movies that are obviously real babies.
Yeah, the thing is, you just have to be patient and
Yeah.
sit
Well,
there all day until that baby does
why
what it
the
does.
Baby's always putting us in a situation that is normal for a baby.
Yeah.
For instance, like a baby in a nursery or a baby in the right after birth,
Yeah.
wrapped up in the blanket and all that.
I think what they were asking for is kind of they wanted it to be a baby, but be very mature for its age because due to the story, you're supposed to be older or something like that. Like it's supposed to age like twice as fast, 3 times as fast, whatever. I can't remember.
Yeah, I heard about that, and it just. I remember watching that film in theaters with a guy and his girlfriend and her friend who she was trying to hook me up with, and I remember after the movie was over.
I'm sorry.
No, I know. It's okay.
If somebody was like, "Hey, I want to hook up with I want you to hook up with my friend,"
Okay.
and I'd be like, "All right, what are we gonna do?" Like, and they're like, "We're gonna go see Twilight," and I'd be like, "No, hit me up when you guys are done, and we'll do something after that."
Well, I was just like
The sad part is I read all 4 of those books and watched the movies. The reason was because I was dating this girl in high school I wanted to impress. And I started reading the books, and then next thing you know, I actually got into the books. The books were actually pretty solid. And then, the movies came out. I'm like, God, no. God,
I
no,
thought
please,
it was kind
no.
of derpy that like this
Like, it
kid
was
that I used to
horrible.
work with.
The books are nothing like the movies. Oh,
This
man.
kid that I used to
aren't
work
anything
with-
really special either, man.
Like this kid I used to work with started listening to Marilyn Manson to impress the girl he was dating because that was her favorite artist.
Oh god.
And I'm like, well, see, that's kind of dumb, but at least he's not fucking horrible.
Yeah.
But to torture yourself with like Twilight, like, come on.
It's pretty torturous.
That's like listening to Justin Bieber to get into
No, I don't know about that much. God damn.
No
Well-
titties are worth that.
This girl though, she was pretty cute, but I remembered after the movie was over. Me and I looked over at Mike and I'm like, "Is it over?" Thank you. Oh my god, it's finally over.
Well, that's like,
The scenery of it does make me like want to visit Washington State by watching the movie. The
No,
nature
it
of
makes
the
me
mountains.
want to avoid it because I'm afraid I'll run into a shiny fucking statue person who has the emotional depth of a friggin' plank of wood.
like me
It's
and
a
my,
glitter
like,
vampire.
my ex, like, we went to see the Silent Hill sequel,
Mm-hmm.
and I was planning to ask her if she wanted to be my girlfriend that night, and the movie was so fucking bad.
Oh yeah,
and,
the
like,
second
mood
one.
ruining that I
Yeah.
just didn't. And then I asked her after that, and I told her I had planned to ask her sooner, but it was on the night that we saw that movie. She's like, "I'm glad you didn't because I probably would have said no just because I was in such a bad mood from seeing that movie." And I was like, fair enough.
Actually, I will say this: there was another moment during that film, or during me watching the second like part of Breaking Dawn. I was sitting there and I was just like, oh god, where are they gonna go with this? And there's a big battle scene that happens at the end of the movie. Spoilers, don't really care. There's a big battle scene that happens at the end of the movie. All these people in the battle die. All these things happen, and then right at the last second, right as the battle is about to end and everything, big flashback, and turns out it all took place within the mind's eye of this one lead bad guy vampire.
Are you talking about the little twist they threw at the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, are you kidding me? And this girl behind me goes, somebody didn't read the books. I look back at her and I'm like, you're damn right I didn't read the friggin' books. But yeah, those films are just terrible. They're terrible filmmaking, terrible acting all around. There's nothing about those films that's redeeming.
They're based off a terrible
Not
concept.
too
What do you
much.
expect?
It's really not. The only thing I think that was good about the film was the location. I
Location,
thought
fair
Washington
enough.
State was beautiful. Other than that,
Yeah.
I think can't really. No, I can't really say. There was that one girl. She was the only good actress in it. That God, what was the hot vampire's name?
Which one?
The really hot one. The one that was always like
Alice,
I think that was her name. She always went like one.
Was she the one that had like
shoe
the
shopping and
premonition,
shit?
like she could see into the future and shit?
Yeah.
Okay, Alice.
Yeah, she was fucking fine. But other than that,
Nikki Reed's attractive, but where she was forced to dye her hair blonde.
There wasn't really anybody unattractive. Bella wasn't even supposed to be attractive. That's that's the thing about it. It's like she was supposed to not be attractive.
Earlier, no titties are worth that.
Well,
but then they got old shovel face.
And not only that, okay.
By the way, I'm not saying that women are just titties, but
the only person from that franchise that I sort of liked, as an actor and everything in it, was actually Taylor Lautner, because I actually remembered back when he was Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and seeing how awesome of a martial artist
people are going to be pissed that we have talked this on in the middle of the
Who gives
video,
a
by the
shit,
way.
dude? If
We're making fun of bad movies.
Video restarts, it's blah blah blah. Hey Caleb, help him out with that, will you?
The lighting helps a lot. All the details are kind of hidden in the shadows, and it makes it look more realistic because it matches the scene.
The animation's fantastic.
The animation's really good. That looks like
it looks
freaking
realistic
baby.
shit.
Someone had to hand animate that. Every finger, every fold. God.
That was. You see, I had no idea that was a CG baby.
Oh god.
Oh no, is this Resident Evil 1?
I remember this.
Resident Evil notoriously is some of the worst games. Slice.
This is a crisscross fries.
I love this thing.
Crisscross applesauce.
I call it the waffle fries.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one.
Now this is pretty crazy because they get the perspective on her head right when it falls off.
Oh, that was good.
She's super well done.
That was good. Stylized.
So was that a computer-generated head when it
I think
falls off?
they had a head model. They just projected the texture of her head onto it. So projecting the texture from your footage onto a CG model, and then you can just have that CG model go.
I think what happened here is they just asked the actress to slowly turn her head and then dip it down.
I think so.
Yeah, because look, her ear comes into frame, right? It's clearly like rotoed, the bone,
Oh, dude.
and
That
then
would
they
actually
bring
work
it
good.
forward, and it's just a clean cut. They animate the head down.
I think you might be right, Clint.
So like that'd be the easiest and cheapest way. Because they're doing this effect when the camera stops. So they orbit around her head, they stop the camem, and now it's easy to do all
Complete
this
stop.
stuff.
I also like how they dilate her pupils
What's
a
this
little bit
crisscross shot you keep describing?
whenever the camera
He's
comes
gonna
around.
do it.
I got this.
What is he gonna do? Is he gonna like wrestle with it?
Oh crap!
Crisscross flies.
Deactivated. Too late.
Oh, physics. Or
Human sushi, everybody.
That looks really cool. They got the sear lines.
The close-up on his face looks really good.
Look at the way the
I do like that.
gross.
Man, that's really nice.
The
You can see the
laser, like,
contour going
thins
around.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch his eye melt though.
Oh, nice.
That's the juice coming out of the eye.
I didn't
And
notice
it
that.
immediately falls apart when we start seeing like all the little pieces. The first part of that shot before it rack focuses to her in the background looks great.
Yeah.
And now it's the physics. It's like that little chunk falls off and then it kind of floats there.
Yeah.
Like
you're right.
it looks like it should just tumble off. Instead it goes. Yeah, I just think the execution of the pieces falling apart doesn't look that great.
Agreed.
Nope, that's
So
what I
you know who
said.
did that shot way
Physics.
better? Freddie and Brandon.
That looked really cool.
So he's chopping Freddie into hundreds of slices and pieces here. Dude, all those blood particles shooting out on every single slice.
That's cool.
I love that.
For the
Oh,
projection
yeah,
map,
Rising fan
Freddie
film.
is-
Rocket Jump's always done some awesome
And then
stuff.
anything
Though.
that didn't get the projection map of Freddy's exterior is just a meat interior. You can see Freddy's hand though go from individual fingers to just a mitten, and you can see the texture mapping really well on it.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
It pops into an inflatable glove.
But it's a good transition.
They fade it. They fade it.
He does like a crossfade. This was a great shot. This was a great shot.
There's a whole thing like effects when you're watching them in motion, in context, versus effects broken down frame by frame, played over and over and over and over again. And most of the little things like that, where his hand went ballooned into a little inflatable projection map, you don't have to get it pixel perfect because we don't have time, and no one's gonna notice.
You know what we should do? We should react to some of our videos in a future video.
We're gonna get our best and worst VFX.
Oh, gosh, oh man, subscribe for that. And now check this out. We have curated a special playlist of a bunch of our favorite videos from the last year that we think you might enjoy having watched this whole VFX React series. So check out these new videos. Link down in the description, or you can click this link right here. It'll take you to several of these videos. They're great, and we think you might enjoy them.
Yeah. So,
I was amazed it showed the good effects from Resident Evil. I figured it would show some of the cheesy ones.
I will say this: I can the liquor from Resident Evil was terrible.
Yep.
Now
That's some of the stuff I'm talking about.
now
Like
the
the claws and
practical
stuff. Is like,
now the practical effects that they had for the liquor were actually pretty cool, but you could tell where the where the CGI liquor came into frame and where the where the practical CGI liquor was in the frame.
They
You
could
could
have
clearly
actually
tell.
probably, I feel like, pretty easily done a liquor as a fully, like, practical creature.
They
Well,
could have.
well, they did it with Alien.
Fucking cooler. If anything,
I mean-
just CG the tongue and nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
if they did it with
That'd be
Alien
awesome.
back in the 70s,
Yeah.
they should easily
The
be
thing
able
is,
to.
Alien though is mostly bipedal. The human based xenomorph is mostly like bipedal, whereas
Yeah, but liquors, even though they crawl on their hands and legs, they still have, like, the same structure as a human, basically.
well, yeah, but and you could get an actor to do that. You could get an actor like, for instance, you could get Doug Jones to crawl on the ground, animalistically, and have the CG or not have the but have the practical makeup on him and everything for the most part.
Yeah.
I
think his tongue would have to be CG though. I mean,
well,
just
it
the
had
way
to be.
yeah.
It would 100%
certain
have to be.
features, yeah, definitely, but it's
Well-
just a mix of both, which is kind of what they did with Alien too. Though they didn't put per se complete visual effects, but there were certain scenes where they knew that if they got certain parts of it at a certain angle, it didn't even have to look realistic. It really looked like it was moving at you, like the one when it comes straight at you, and it's hind in and tails moving around back behind it and everything. That was somebody taking a broomstick doing this with it behind him. It was never attached to him. So, like, it was running up. It just made it look like that thing was really crawling at you. And I was like, damn.
Well, and the interesting thing I would have done what Nolan does. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nolan never fully does a shot where there's not anything there. He rarely does that.
I try not to.
well, he always likes something physical to be there and add the CG on top of it, because to him, in his mindset, if there's something there to anchor you to reality, then you'll believe it's actually that you're more likely to believe it's actually there than just have the complete thing be CG. I just like the when the Batwing took off in the Dark Knight Rises.
Yep.
The Batwing that they had was just crane operated. They put it on a crane, they lifted it up, and they brought it over top of where the police were in that one scene. But Chris Nolan added the sound effects of though it was a chopper, had the blades spinning on it, and all they did was erase out the crane, and that's it. And
yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, and that's how you conduct these things properly. That's how you do it. But most people out there are just like, oh, just CG everything. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, that comes up to producers and how much money they're willing to really put in there. You know?
Which is why Chris Nolan produces his own films.
Yeah, I know.
This
James
is
Cameron.
Cameron as well. Peter Jackson produces his own films.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're that loaded to do that, then you can produce your own films. You don't have to have any creative control from.
Well, either that or the studio trusts you enough to give you that money for you to use. Because you see, the studio is still paying you to make the movie, but they're putting you in charge of the distribution of the funds to create said project.
Yeah. Most of that is done. They make those decisions to sway the producers because they'll have too many hands in the pot funding it, and then they got to get the producers' votes basically, because if they start losing their trust of their producers, they'll start pulling out, and when they pull out, that's when it falls right flat. Yeah. I wish that once they put in at the beginning of it, they couldn't take it back, but unfortunately, there's always like contracts where they can pull out, and it's like that's bullshit.
It is bullshit, no doubt about it. But this was a lot of fun to watch with y'all. I'm glad that we were able to watch this. Have you ever seen Children of Men, Nick? It's actually a really interesting film where there has not been a baby born in, I believe, like 25 years. Like, world fertility has just literally fallen to zero, and the youngest person on the planet is like 25 to 26 years old, and an entire generation of the human population is just gone, and there hasn't been a baby born since. And there's a bunch of stuff that goes on in that film that's just like represents paranoia, fear, and how everything can just go to hell in a handbasket. I'd actually like to
see that. That sounds awesome.
Oh, it's awesome.
And what'd you call it again?
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
For some reason, to me, that sounds really uninteresting.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it sounds pretty cool.
Doesn't sound like a concept I'd be into.
It's basically just human race dying off.
As a movie, anyways. Like, maybe if it was like in a different format, like if it was like a book or something, I'd be like,
oh, it is
maybe,
a book.
But like, I'd probably rather read the book in that case.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sound like something that I would just be like, yeah, I want to watch that. Like, I don't know, just personal preference, I guess.
Well, fair enough.
Some movies are like that. Like there's several movies that people have always been like, you haven't seen that? I'm like, yeah, it just never sounded interesting to me. Like, I know they're supposed to be really good movies, but just the concept doesn't come off.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
Like,
there's movies I haven't watched.
Well, the concept of Pulp Fiction, when someone tries to explain it to me, is just like retarded.
Exactly.
But
that's
then
what I said. It took me forever to watch that movie.
Yeah.
It's like Wolf of Wall Street. It took me forever to watch that movie too. I finally watched it. That's probably one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Pulp Fiction I didn't watch because someone explained the concept to me. I watched it because I saw clips and stuff. I was just like, that looks like an interesting movie.
Well, okay, from Children of Men, if I showed you clips from Children of Men, you might be interested in it. I don't know. It depends. Anyway, we're going to get off here on this one, everybody. This was VFX Artists React to Bad and Great CGI, number 3. By the Corridor Crew, a.k.a. Corridor Digital. The link to the original video is down below in the description. Be sure to check out more from the Corridor Crew. They do awesome work. Go and watch their shorts that they put on Corridor Digital, their main YouTube channel. And, of course, see their vlog stuff that they have on Corridor Crew, because, honestly, this shit's just entertaining. I love this. So, I guess until next time, everybody, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Jacob.
And we will see you all in the next one, everybody. Peace out.